Hi, I'm Ben Stewart. I'm the founder and owner of SpeechWire Tournament Services, and I'm excited to talk to you in this video about running tournaments on the SpeechWire platform in conjunction with the Yaatly.com contest platform for speech and debate tournaments. I'm really happy to be working with the folks at Yaatly.com to integrate the SpeechWire system with the Yaatly system and try to make the data transfer between the two as hopefully seamless and pain-free as possible for managers, within reason, within terms of what we can do. So far, I think we've done some really good work in terms of being able to take schematics directly out of SpeechWire and load them into the Yaatly platform and get rounds just like that in the Yaatly platform that your students and your judges can enter, can go into competition rooms in, and take part in live, synchronous online tournaments on Yaatly. I want to start out by just saying that Yaatly is indeed entirely a synchronous platform. That's a bad way to say that because that sounds like asynchronous. It is entirely a live synchronous platform. Asynchronous tournaments are those where students have performed in videos that were recorded ahead of time, and then those videos are served to judges via their e-ballots, and that's how they then judge those student videos and put in their ranks and their points or put in their debate decisions, although typically that wouldn't happen with an asynchronous tournament. Yaatly is much more suited to debate because Yaatly is totally live. In Yaatly, students perform in front of their cameras on the Yaatly platform. Students are judged by judges who are watching them perform in the same sections or the same debates that the students are in on the Yaatly.com platform. Yaatly is clearly a separate website from SpeechWire. The tournament video rounds are actually held on the Yaatly.com platform, and you can certainly check that out by going to Yaatly.com. It is at YAATLY.com. So you can check that out. The pricing is listed on the website. I'm going to defer to them for the pricing, but it is not a free service. It definitely comes with a cost. They use a credit system, so you as a tournament manager can check their website and look at their pricing page. Right now, if you scroll to the bottom of the homepage, there is a link to get to that pricing page, and you can price out how much it would cost you to run your tournament on the Yaatly platform. But I want to be very clear, not a free platform, and they would handle the billing separately from SpeechWire. So you would be paying Yaatly for your video rounds, you'd be paying SpeechWire for your tournament services, for your scheduling services, and registration and tabulation and all that. These are two separate things, but there is a way to transfer data from one into another, and we've tried to make it as simple as we can, and I think we've done pretty well. Yaatly, as a concept, tries to kind of recreate an in-person tournament experience. So this isn't a platform where you're going to be like in a SpeechWire account and then clicking a link and being directly into a video round. This is a platform where schools have created their own accounts for their school. They've invited their students to join that account, and then the school is attending the tournament on the Yaatly platform. So students and judges are logging into the Yaatly platform, and then they reach an event lobby where they can see all the postings in the tournament. They have a variety of other features like chat functions, team room functions, an auditorium where the announcements can be made, things like that to try and create a little bit more of a communal space. I know that was a priority for the Yaatly folks. It's something a little bit different that platform brings to the table. Certainly, again, check out their website to see some more information about some of the things that make Yaatly special and unique as compared to other platforms. I've tried over the course of this summer in 2020 to try and link up with whatever platforms I think I'm feeling the most interest from my users in, and this was certainly one of them, so I'm glad to be involved in linking with that Yaatly platform. Because it is a separate website, that does mean that in order to judge, judges are going to need both a Yaatly account so they can get in and judge, and also a SpeechWire account so they can receive their electronic ballots. I will defer to Yaatly for documentation and how-to on how to create those judge accounts, but I can say that for the SpeechWire process, judges are collected during the registration for the tournament. That includes both their name and their email address. And then once those email addresses are in the system, you as a manager, let's go ahead and take a look at what that looks like. You as the manager can link them by going to Judges and then going to View Judge Dashboard. So right now at this test tournament, I haven't put in any email addresses for these judges, but if we did have email addresses, they would either say linked next to them in green, which means that that judge is already linked up with an account, or there would be a link button on that View Judge Dashboard page. And by clicking the link button, that's going to send that judge a password in an email that they can then use to judge on SpeechWire. And that does mean that they have to be logged into both live.speechwire.com, which is where live online tournaments happen on SpeechWire. That's where they get their electronic ballots, and also on Yaatly.com, because that's where they go to enter the live video rounds. In terms of students, they will have a Yaatly account that is created by their institution, and then they will be able to log into that to get to the live video rounds on Yaatly. I also certainly encourage coaches who are attending tournaments that are being held on Yaatly in conjunction with SpeechWire to create student accounts on their team roster. And the reason for that is because those student accounts are how students would receive their electronic ballots at the end of the tournament. So certainly not required to have a SpeechWire account to compete in the tournament, but the student's going to want to have a SpeechWire account after the tournament so they can get to those electronic ballots. And of course, just like with any electronic tournament approach, you as the coach, if you're a coach, also have the ability to view all of the ballots for your team at the end of a tournament, and also withhold certain ballots if you want to at your discretion. You can also choose to screen all the ballots before releasing them to your team if you choose. That's not unique to this approach. You can do that with any of the approaches to run your tournament on SpeechWire if it's a virtual tournament. So, I'd like to demonstrate now what it's like to actually use SpeechWire in conjunction with the Yaatly platform. So let's go back to this Tournament Managers area. This is a very standard looking Tournament Manager homepage. All of them look the same no matter what platform you use, or even if you're running your tournament in person. So if you've run tournaments in person with SpeechWire before, this probably looks pretty familiar to you. So what we'll do right now is go ahead and schedule our tournament. I've got all sorts of entries here. We've got a big old random bunch of entries in this tournament. We'll hit Scheduling Manager. We're going to say Set Section Structure, just like we normally would for an in-person tournament. I've told it how many sections we're going to have in each event. So we'll go ahead back to Scheduling Manager. We will click Schedule Speech Competition Groupings. I'm going to click Check All, and I'm going to click Schedule and say Yes, Schedule Now. SpeechWire is working on that tournament schedule for me. And in just a moment, here we go. My tournament is now scheduled. We've scheduled all 3 prelims of my speech events. I'll go back to the scheduler. Now I'm going to return to the scheduling manager, and I want to go ahead and schedule my first 2 rounds of debate. So I'm scheduling this round, and this LD varsity. We'll go ahead and schedule round 2 of LD varsity, and then public forum round 2, public forum varsity round 2, and public forum varsity round, well, I said round 2, but I was doing round 1. At any rate, my first 2 rounds are scheduled. So at this point, I've scheduled my speech prelims, and I've scheduled my first 2 preset rounds of debate, because that's how I'm running debate at this tournament. So at this point now, I've got everything all scheduled, and I'm now ready to go ahead and export to Yaatly. So what I want to do is say the posting center, and then I've got these links down here, export debate rounds to Yaatly and export speech rounds to Yaatly. So let's just say that we want to export round 1 of everything. We just want to launch round 1 of debate and round 1 of speech. So we'll click export debate rounds to Yaatly, and it says, what rounds do you want to include? If I just wanted to do LD, I could just do LD, but I'd like to just do everything. So let's take round 1 of everything, export for Yaatly. I immediately get a link to an Excel file created by SpeechWire. Go ahead and save that to my desktop. And then we're going to go into Yaatly. Okay, so I'm in Yaatly.com. I'm going to log into my account. And I've already got my demo created here. You would have created your tournament actually some time ago as a manager using the Yaatly platform, but I'll go ahead and enter my tournament. And that's going to load my lobby. I'm not going to test my connection, although certainly if you were competing in the tournament, it would be a good idea to go ahead and do that. And then down here where it says competition rooms, I have a button to import postings and create rooms. So let's go ahead and click that. I want to create debate in this case. So we're going to say next. And then it says, what website are you using? So I'm going to say, okay, I've used SpeechWire for this tournament. So we're going to click on SpeechWire, and then I'm going to select the file that I just exported from SpeechWire. And then we'll say review posting. So it says, okay, here's what we found. You'll notice it says judge undefined. Well, that's a good warning. I totally forgot to assign judges. So let's go ahead and fix that. I will go to Scheduling Manager, Auto Assign Judges. Let's just go ahead and auto assign everything, although I did not pair my power paired debate rounds yet. And we'll auto assign judges. Yes, schedule now. I don't know if I put enough judges in the tournament, but I think I did. We're going to find out. I did. Good. Excellent. So now this is the step I should have done, which is actually check my schematics. They're all paper. In your tournament, they wouldn't be because they'd all be linked digital judges. And I talked about that linking process. But for this purpose, it's okay that they're paper judges. That's totally fine. So we'll go ahead back to the home page. Now I'm going to actually export my file again. It's kind of nice that we actually got this experience of seeing that undefined judge name so that we can fix it. And then we'll download the new file. So I've downloaded a new Excel file. We'll go back to Yaatly. We're going to hit back. We're going to hit SpeechWire again. And this time I'll pick the file that has the judges in it. There we go. So we've got Elwood judging Gail versus Hannah. We've got Roland judging Kai versus James. And then if we check, that's LD Novice. Here's LD Varsity, Public Forum Novice, and Public Forum Varsity. So I'll go ahead and create my posting. And if I return to the lobby, here we go. I immediately have access to, I and my attendees immediately have access to these rooms for LD Novice, LD Varsity, Public Forum Novice, and Public Forum Varsity. I can put in a name on this banner, so we'll say it's round 1, 8 a.m., and there we go. So this is ready to go at this point. I would also like to put up my speech rounds, so we can go ahead and do that. I will go back to the posting center in SpeechWire. I will click Export Speech Rounds to Yaatly. And then once again, I'm going to go ahead and do round 1. If you wanted to just do one pattern, you could select only some of the events, but we're just going to say all of the events are starting at the same time at this tournament. I'll export all of them. And then we'll download the Excel file, go ahead and save that, and then go back into Yaatly, say Import Posting, this time individual events, and then we will say SpeechWire, and I'm going to say the file that I just created. So here, this looks a little bit different because we've got judges and speakers in each of the rounds that I'm importing for each of my events. So you can sort of look through that, make sure you like what you see. I do like what I see, so I'm going to say Create Posting right here, and it is created. It's that simple. So now this is ready to go. So I've got my debate postings up here. Let's actually make this a little clearer by saying it's debate round 1, and then down here I've got speech round 1. Also going off at 8 a.m. So there you go. And then you can look through all your events, and we're good to go. So now let's, in our mind, pretend that instead of being the manager, I'm now going to pretend that I am a judge or a student, and I want to get into one of these sections. So if I'm a debater, let's say I'm a Public Forum Varsity debater, let's say that I'm Jennifer Jones, and I'll go ahead and click on Join here. And it says I'm in test mode, I know. So it says, all right, select your role. Well, I'm Jennifer, so I'll select this. If you were the judge, you could go here. And please note that you can join as an observer also. So if you're someone who has access to this tournament, you can observe rounds. That's something that's a little bit different about this platform. It does allow spectators or observers. So we're going to say select. And at that point, I'm now entering this room. And in just a short moment, I will be in the room. So once that comes up, it says this is some information which I will let other people see, but it's put me on the side of the debate that Jennifer Jones is supposed to be on, and if I want to, I would now be able to compete in the round. You can't see my video because I'm recording the way that I record. It blocks my video, but you would see my video in here if I wasn't recording a how-to video right now. There is a chat for the room. There are some other tools that you can use. Certainly check out the Yaatly website for full documentation on the Yaatly platform. But I'll go ahead and leave this room and pretend now that I'm a speech judge. Let's say that I'm someone who's supposed to be judging a varsity oratory round. So that means I'm Bob Topham. So I go ahead and click on Join. And who are you? I am Bob Topham, and now I'm going into this speech round. So it says waiting for a speaker to take the floor. If I was in here as a student, I would actually have a button to go ahead and take the floor. But as it is, I've popped in the bottom here because this is where the judges sit in the room. And as you might be thinking with debate, there was a left side and a right side. And with speech, the judges are at the bottom of the room as if they were in the back, and the students perform up front and center. So again, it kind of tries to recreate that feeling of being at a live tournament. So there you go. That's the Yaatly platform. There's some other bells and whistles with Yaatly. There's a chat. You can create channels in the chat. You can put up some postings, things like that. And you have your tools to manage your event in Yaatly over here. Again, I'm going to defer to yaatly.com for more information on that. But that demonstrates for you the idea of going ahead and launching a tournament in Yaatly, exporting your schematic, exporting your debate pairings, and loading them into the platform. There's one more step that you have to do to actually start the round. We've put out the video rounds at this point, but we also need to go ahead and release the e-ballots to the judges so they can actually get to the electronic ballots on their SpeechWire account. In order to do that, we just go to the posting center, we say release, post, and blast rounds, and we use these go buttons. When you click a go button, it's going to go ahead and put the electronic ballots in the judges' accounts. If you're posting schematics, it'll post the schematic for you. And it's also going to send out email blasts to anyone who has a SpeechWire account. That would be your judges and students who are linked to a SpeechWire account, so that they will receive a notification that their round is beginning. I'm not going to do that. I have other documentation on my website about electronic ballots that you're certainly welcome to refer to because it will apply to this just the same way that it would apply to pretty much any other platform that your tournament is running on. So that is pretty much the integration of Yaatly.com with SpeechWire.com for the purposes of running live synchronous speech and debate tournaments. If you have any questions about SpeechWire, you're certainly welcome to email me at support@SpeechWire.com. If you have questions about the Yaatly platform, I encourage you to check out Yaatly.com, and you can certainly contact them if you have more questions about that. Otherwise, I'm grateful for your time, I'm grateful for your interest in my platform, and I'm grateful that you are taking part in speech and debate in this very strange year that 2020 is. We're certainly doing everything we can to try and keep the activity going, and I personally am glad that you're a part of it. So thanks so much, and thank you for your time.